the amount of blood on the road was crazy. It was. I don't know. I was overwhelmed by it.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Peace, Allah's mercy and blessing be upon you all.
So what are we talking about today?
Okay, so this is very touchy for me, because over these years I've kind of appreciated death a bit more. Is that the right thing to say?
Appreciated death? Like...
I don't know. I just become more conscious of death.
Oh, I get it. Okay.
Yeah. So
that's a clue about what we're talking about today.
Death. So last year, some dramatic things happened to me. Okay. So first one is my father had acute heart failure.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember that day, and it was a horrible day for me. And I thought, my dad is elderly. He's not a young chap. I thought that was the end.
SubhanAllah.
For him. Alhamdulillah, he survived.
Alhamdulillah.
And then after he had heart failure, I started a course, which is the physician associate course. And I was in my third week, we were doing cardiology. And I learned those people who are diagnosed with heart failure, 33% of them will die within the first year.
A third of them?
A third of them will die within the first year.
SubhanAllah.
So that was kind of it was kind of a reality check for me. Death had become very personal to me now.
Mm-hmm.
Not only that, during that same period, I remember driving my father back from hospital. He had chest infection, and we were driving back from the hospital, and this was about 12 or 1 o'clock at night. And as I was driving, one of the roads was completely blocked up with police, a lot of ambulances. And I, being curious and nosy, I wanted to know what was going on. So I kind of drove around and found another road where I can see what's happening on this particular road. I was walking up, and from far I could see someone giving CPR to the paramedics, giving CPR to somebody.
Mm-hmm.
And as I was getting closer, I could... the amount of blood on the road was crazy. It was... I don't know, I was overwhelmed by it. And there was a lady who had been run over by a car, and she had been almost splattered, and she had died there. And that was the first time I've ever seen somebody die. That was the first time I ever seen somebody die. And then I think it was a baptism with fire for me, because during my course now, I experience death almost every single day. When I first started my clinical placements at the hospital, I went onto the ward and I introduced myself, and one of the junior doctors, I knew him. He had given us a lecture before. He said, "Oh, just come with me, follow me around." So I was just following him around, and he was asked by one of the nurses to go and check up on a lady who was not doing so well. So he was trying to cannulate her, and I could see she couldn't breathe properly. She had oxygen on. They had suction in her mouth to get all the gunk out, because she had what's called aspirational pneumonia. Anyway, so that was my first experience of clinical medicine, at the forefront. And then we went on to a ward round, and my supervising consultant was discussing this patient before seeing this patient, and apparently she had been given several courses of antibiotic, and as soon as they stopped the antibiotic, she falls ill again. So the consultant decided that they will not treat her again. They will not give her more antibiotics. Then we went to the family and we were discussing the scenario to them, and the fear in the eyes of this patient was touchable. And the doctor was saying that we're going to stop treating you. And then towards the end, the lady said, no, I want you to carry on treating me. She had capacity, so she said, I want you to carry on treating me. So the consultant decided, okay, fine, we will give you another 48 hours of antibiotics. If you do not respond, or if you get reinfected, we will not give you more antibiotics after that. So that is what was decided. And that was, a few seconds. It took a few seconds for the consultant to, almost change her mind. And I remember that is what happened. 48 hours of antibiotics. And I moved on to another ward, which was adjacent to this ward. So I didn't know what was happening with this lady. Anyway, 2 weeks later, I was walking by this ward, and I see this lady reading a magazine.
Wow. So she'd recovered.
She had recovered.
That's really interesting, because your first story, you see this person who has, like a flame, has just been snuffed out.
Of course, yeah.
And they're gone.
Yeah.
Their story is finished.
Mm.
They might have been living a normal day, doing normal things like going out for a run, and not expecting it. And because of something very normal, driving a car, that happens all the time outside, their storyline just ended.
Yeah.
There might be loved ones like wondering where they went. That was what happened to them. And in this case, people of knowledge, like scientists and doctors, thought it prudent to stop treating someone because they thought, and probably definitely with a good understanding of the human body, they'd been quite sure that it's not worth treating this person, they're going to die. And yet, she was okay afterwards.
Yeah, she was okay afterwards.
That's really interesting.
So I guess this is the it's a hard decision for clinicians to make. But if you're given the only treatment that will work or needs to, will help with this certain ailment, and if you're given a treatment which is the only treatment for a certain illness, and if that's not working, you can't keep giving it and keep giving it and keep someone. The thing is, I guess you need to understand what type of a life would this person have. That for 2 days they're okay, and then they'll have this horrible infection again.
Well, yeah, it's that famous phrase. I think Einstein said it, that sanity is doing the same thing again and again and expecting different results. So clearly, they thought it's not going to work.
Yeah. And there are, after that, there are examples where removing the treatment did lead to somebody passing away.
So knowing all that about the human body and knowing all that from the things that you've seen, how does that make you think about life and death?
Well, I think life is very fragile, and death can come at any moment. I think, for a lot of my life, I used to think, death is a thing, but for some reason, it wasn't reality. Everyone else dies.
Yeah.
Everyone else falls ill. Everyone else gets cancer. Or, it never happens. It won't happen to me. Does that make sense?
Yeah, you were just kind of isolated and in your own bubble of life.
Yeah.
That death is something that is the last thing on your mind.
Exactly. But what the positive thing was, Alhamdulillah, being Muslim, I understood that there was life after. The body dies, the soul doesn't die. The soul lives on. There is another life after this life. And there is more. And that is reassuring to me. Because there's so much suffering in this world. It's kind of hard to accept that there is nothing beyond this world, where there's a lot of injustice going on. There's a lot of starvation, and children and people are dying from starvation or suffering in this world, and just dying and becoming nothing. It's very hard for me to accept that is life. It might be very easy for people who have everything in their life to say, oh, this is okay, this is fine, I'm happy with that. For me, I'm not just happy with this world, and I'm probably for a lot of people in this world, majority of people in this world, this life isn't enough for them, and it shouldn't be. I don't think it should be.
I was talking to you just yesterday, where we were talking about. So one of the things I'm doing soon is climbing Mount Everest. I don't know when this video is going to come out. It's going to be before I've done it or after, if I make it back, and if I don't, then this will be from beyond the grave, which means you'll have to edit the video. But yeah, I'm climbing Mount Everest soon, and to base camp, and that obviously entails some danger. In fact, not even the climb only. The airport that we're going to is notorious. It's like famous for having a lot of plane crashes. In fact, someone told me that on the approach to the airstrip, you can see the remains of crashed planes. I don't know if that's a myth or if they're just saying that to freak me out. And then you get to where you're going, and you've got to worry about cholera and other diseases. And then you climb the mountain, and you've got to worry about avalanches and yaks treading on you. And
do they have wolves up there?
Probably they do. They probably reserved them just for me. So yeah, I've been thinking about writing my will, and that's actually something the Prophet encouraged us to do, is to regularly update our wills and stuff, because we're reminded so much to remember death. But the weird thing is, I'm kind of like you, where having that Muslim perspective, that uniquely Muslim perspective on death, is really reassuring, because we know that there's life after. And I was saying to you that part of me, I don't know, my wife's going to get really upset at this, but part of me is kind of intrigued by it. I'm not scared. I know I need to be a better person so that I go to meet my Creator in the best possible way, But at the same time, I'm excited to go meet my Creator, and I'm excited to have the veils unlifted so that I can really witness all the things that we've been told about. That deep down I know is real, but I just want to have, you have yaqeen, but you want that yaqeen of,
Well, it's that going back to the other video of proof or verification that God exists.
Yeah, death literally, we'll all know when we die. Whether you're atheist or Christian or Hindu or Muslim, we'll get the answer when we die. So I guess that's something to look forward to.
Well, hopefully he doesn't die on Mount Everest and Hopefully he doesn't die on Mount Everest and get eaten by a yak, because
pretty sure they're vegetarian.
They'll still eat you for some reason.
Yeah.
Ooh, a little bit of grass here.
Yeah, I'll have grass on me.
And you do come back safe and sound. But yeah, I think that's pretty epic that you're climbing Mount Everest. Well, up to base camp, and stay safe. Don't get cholera.
Inshallah.
So this video has been quite heavy, and I'm sure a lot of people have experienced death in different ways, but I always think there's, it's important that we look at the positive of every situation. Take something positive out of it. It might be like bleeding a stone, but bleed that stone and get the positive out. That's the end of that video. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Just quickly before we go, I want to say that the reason why I'm climbing Mount Everest is it's for the Rohingya people. So you know about the Rohingya
Yep.
people who very sadly have been pushed out of their homelands and now are taking refuge in Bangladesh.
We're in the refugee camp called Balukali. There's over 500,000 refugees here.
Our husband was slaughtered. The baby is only 10 to 12 days. She really don't know what
I've got a young child as well. I can't imagine him ever being in a situation anything like this. 80,000 women are pregnant here in the camps. When the whole conflict started in Burma, the majority of them were raped. They're actually carrying the kid because of rape, and now look where they're living. There's no justice here at the moment, and that's why they need our help, man. Because how can they survive in this situation? But there's got to be some hope, and we're the hope. The water pumps that I've seen here, the wells, you know, the clothing that's been donated, the food, they can actually go to the toilet and be safe and be clean. It's all making a big difference, but I still think we need to do a lot better. We cannot do it without your help. So please, please, please pick up the phone or get online and donate.
Penny Appeal, the charity that I'm climbing Mount Everest with, are doing some amazing work where they're providing toilets and they're providing medical centres and they're providing water, all the important things that we take for granted, so that these people who have been pushed into the worst conditions imaginable have something that will hopefully help them stay healthy, prevent unnecessary illnesses and deaths. So please guys, donate whatever you can. Just as little as £1, £5 will make a huge difference. The link will be in the description below. It'll mean a lot. It'll help me be motivated to climb and hopefully not die. And if I do die, well then it'll be in my memory and it'll be a sadaqah jariyah for me. So it's just win-win.
And that's truly the end of this video.